of Fox Sports.
We are Fox Sports. We are the Lions.
Welcome to the gateway to the West, St. Louis, Missouri, as fans from Cincinnati and St. Louis are heading to the ballpark today. Another balmy day, temperatures around 70 degrees, threat of rain, but ready to play baseball as the Cincinnati Reds continue a road trip traveling to St. Louis to play the Cardinals on Fox Sports Ohio. Hi, hello, and welcome to St. Louis, everyone. Along with the crafty left-hander Chris Welch, I'm George Grant. When this season began, the Reds had three major health questions to deal with. Would Joey Votto be okay? We found that out. Would Jay Bruce be okay? He's doing fine. The third question answered today. Homer Bailey takes them out.
Well, I'm not so sure you're going to get the full answer today, but we'll get at least the as of the moment answer, and that will be Homer Bailey on the mound. You know, this is like him coming right out of spring training. He went down and pitched a rehab start. He did some minor league work down in the spring training camp. Of course, he had arm surgery last year, and you never really know what's going to happen. But you do know that you do need a healthy Homer Bailey in the rotation in order to really fill out the wishes of Walt Jocketty. Hopefully, Bailey will be able to spot his fastball. You know it's going to be hard, anywhere between 92 and 95 miles an hour. But it's location, as both the pitchers who were on their games last night showed that is the most important thing.
Brian Price knows full well that Homer Bailey's not 100%, but he also knows he's glad to get him back.
Well, certainly we made an investment long-term to Homer because we felt like he's a guy that could anchor our staff. You add him to the mix that we already have here, especially with the way that DeSclafani has thrown the ball in his first couple of times out. It really solidifies our starting five and gives us a chance to feel really good about our starting pitching every time we go out there to start a game.
The Reds hope to count on Homer. The Cardinals hope to count on Carlos Martinez in the rotation this year, Chris.
Well, this young man wants to be a starter. I think the Cardinals will like him to be a starter, but given some of the problems they've had in the bullpen, you wonder if he may not be more valuable in the Cardinals bullpen. But right now, he's a starter. Had a very good start against the Reds, 6 innings of 2-run baseball. He dials it up there, average of 95 miles an hour. So shorten up a little bit and get a quick swing at the plate.
Well, the Reds hope to get something from Homer today. He'll take the mound. The Reds have been waiting for this one. Ryan Pena will be behind the plate for him. Jim Day catches up with BP when we return.
Reds and Cardinals, and it's coming up on Fox Sports Ohio. I'm Jim Day. Pleasure to welcome in Brian Pena, catcher for the Reds. And how we doing?
I'm doing good. I think that yesterday was a tough one for us, but today is a new day. The sunshine is out, and that's beautiful. And God bless us with, with the new day, and we're just ready.
Great to start the interview with that award-winning smile right there. Last year, by necessity, man, you were thrown into the fire. You played a lot more than probably you anticipated, and here we are again with Devin banged up. You ready for this workload? This is your 6th straight start behind the plate today.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I really, trying to take advantage of the opportunity, and Brian Price, has been giving me that chance. So. But it's all about teamwork. It's all about go out there and trying to do our best. I think Devin, hopefully he'll be back soon. And but meanwhile we just have to go out there and trying to hold it down for him.
This game, you get a lot of attention, whether it be positive or negative, and I'm sure you guys have heard a lot about the inability to beat the Cardinals over the last several seasons. Does that seep into your head? And if it does, how do you kind of block that out? What's it like to deal with that, not having success against a particular team?
Well, I mean, to be honest with you, this is the big leagues. Everybody goes out there and trying to do their best. Everybody want to go out there and trying to beat you. It doesn't matter if it's St. Louis, Pittsburgh, or the Tigers, whoever. But it's one of those things that we just need to focus about the present, and forget about the past and prepare ourselves for the future. That's the way I see it. I feel like we learn a lot from the past, and we have to move on. We have to go out there and grind it out and trying to do our best.
Homer Bailey makes his 2015 debut. I know you haven't caught him a tremendous amount, but for a guy that's first time out coming off of offseason arm surgery, is there any type of game plan you might have today?
Well, I mean, he knows what he's doing out there. I think my main goal has to be, this is going to sound a little selfish, but my main goal has to be today just making him feel comfortable, making him feel, relaxed, making him feel good, and being able to make sure that, he finishes healthy, to make sure that, he goes out there and trying to do, what he does best and just go out there and compete, But I think in general, this is what everybody wants, We want to see him, going back there and be successful, but especially being healthy, because he's going to be a big key for us.
Appreciate your time. Good luck today.
Oh, thank you.
That is Brian Pena. Stay with us on the other side. We're going to be talking about facing a couple of very consistent Cardinals. Reds and Cardinals coming up on Fox Sports Ohio.
Way to the West, Cincinnati Reds baseball on Fox Sports Ohio, being brought to you by Cincinnati USA Regional Tourism Network. Stay close to CincinnatiUSA.com. By Chevy. Check out our award-winning lineup only at your Tri-State Chevy dealer. And by Skyline Chili. Hey, feeling good? It's Skyline time. Overcast day, chance of rain, but it should not come until later today, so hopefully we'll get this one in as the Reds try to win their first series after losing 8 straight here against the St. Louis Cardinals at Busch Stadium in St. Louis. And Chris, you talk about two guys that are hot in this Cardinal lineup, Johnny Peralta and Matt Holliday at the top of the list.
That's why they're in the lineup, George, is really because of their offense, and they're both in their 30s. Matt Holliday's 35, Peralta's 32. Between them, they nearly have 3,500 career Major League hits. So these guys can swing the bat, and they are off to an exceptional start so far this year. Consistency, seems like every time you turn around, they're getting on base and getting base hits.
And they both had productive at-bats last night in the Game 1 victory. And when you add it up, not only are they overall against the Reds hitting well, our IGS Bringing the Energy story is also important when you look at Holliday and Peralta, each of it safely in the Cardinals' first 9 games. They're the first teammates to do that since Derek Jeter and Robinson Cano did it for the Yankees in the first 10 games of 2010. Warm-ups are starting. Martinez is on the mound. Matt Carpenter ready to take his spot at third. Brandon Phillips ready to go to the bat rack. Lineups and first pitch coming up next on Fox Sports Ohio. George Grant, Chris Welsh, Jim Day ready to bring you baseball. On the mound, Carlos Martinez ready to go to work for Game 2 of the series as Billy Hamilton is set to step in. Hamilton last night had an 0 for 5 night, not on base, and that's something that the Reds need if they're going to win against this Cardinal club. In tied at third is the third baseman Carpenter guarding against the bunt. Even with the bag at first is Matt Adams. On the mound for the Cardinals, the side-winding right-hander, big arm, Chris, Carlos Martinez.
Big arm and pretty good off-speed stuff, too, George. That last pitch, a changeup, you're going to see that as his selected number 2 pitch behind that fastball that he can ride up there around 95 miles an hour. Young man that thought he was headed to the bullpen this year. He was in kind of a pitch-off at the end of spring training. Jaime Garcia, of course, you remember the left-hander for the Cardinals, ends up with a bad arm at the end of spring training, so they awarded the number 5 spot in the rotation to Martinez, and this is the spot he'd really like to keep. Fastball, slider to right-handers, mostly change-ups and fastballs to left-handers.
Right, the little girl with the curl when he's right, he's really, really right. Sometimes he can be a little erratic. A two-hopper down to second. Pete Kozma gobbles it up, and they continue to keep Hamilton off the bases. Let's check our Meyer starting lineup for Brian Price and the Reds, who come in at 500, 5-5 on the season. Hamilton leads it off. Joey Votto ripped his 4th home run of the year last night, hit second. Frazier, Phillips, Bruce, Bird, Pena, Cozart, who's been red hot, and Bailey. Homer hitting in the 9th spot. Homer's first game of the season. That's your Meyer starting lineup. Here's Joey at 378, 4 homers, 10 knocked in. Votto gave the Reds an early lead with a bomb to right center field for his 4th homer of the year. He added a single and a walk as he was on base 3 times. He was left on deck when the game ended. The Reds hopeful of getting him to the plate with the bases loaded. Didn't happen. 2 balls, no strikes to the Reds' first baseman and number 2 hitter. And Chris, we've seen it in spring training in the first 2 weeks of the season, but so have the Cardinals. They've been so impressed at his physical stature, the fact he's running well, the fact he's swinging the bat well. And talking to Mike Matheny and David Bell, of course, from the great Buddy Bell family, and John Mabry, the hitting coach, Bill Miller, the assistant hitting coach here. They say number 19 is back, huh? I guess he is.
Well, you know, I'm glad that they all concur because they see the obvious as well. He's swinging the bat very well. He's patient in the batter's box. He's not going out of the zone, chasing pitches and getting himself out, and the guy's showing some power. Hit that home run deep into right center field last night. The ball just sounds good off of Votto's bat.
Looking for his first hit against Martinez. That's a drill shot, just foul. He's 0 for 5 against Carlos.
See that pitch right there, the way he was all over that. I mean, if you're Martinez, yes, it was an off-speed pitch, but I mean, he was only a little bit out in front with it, and it wasn't an awkward swing. That means he's seeing it really well.
And he's on base with a free pass. Let's check your Ford defensive alignment for St. Louis. In the outfield, Matt Holliday solid in left. In center, John Jay over in right. Hayward, who's been a great addition both offensively and defensively. Outstanding arm, good defender. Carpenter solid at third. Peralta and Pete Kozma at second. And Adams over at first. Kozma was the starting shortstop 2 years ago. Spent almost all of last year down at AAA. He gets to start at second today with Molina behind the plate. Here's Frazier. 223 homers, 9 knocked in, 1 for 9 in his career against Carlos Martinez. Last night, he got a double for the Reds after the homer for Votto in the first. It looked like the Reds had something cooking, but that was the last time the Reds would have a runner to second until the 7th inning. That's the way Waka dealt with the rest of the game. Waka was brilliant last night in the victory. 1-1 game. If you missed it last night, Cueto and Waka dueled all night long. Waka wound up going 7 innings, 5 hits, and 1 run. The Cardinals broke it open on a bases loaded double by Yadi Molina to take a 4-1 lead, and they won it 6-1. No balls, 2 strikes, ahead in the count to Frazier.
Kid likes his slider here when he's ahead.
And he got him. A dandy. That strikeout number 1 for Carlos Martinez. Another look.
Yeah, the numbers don't lie. You can look it up nowadays on the internet and find it very easily. But when Carlos Martinez gets ahead of a hitter with 2 strikes and you're a right-handed hitter, you have nearly an 80% chance of seeing a slider. So that's something really that when you get down, if you're Todd Frazier or if you're Brandon Phillips or Marlon Byrd and every right-hander down the line, that's what you're looking for when you get 2 strikes on you.
Here's Brandon hitting in the 4th spot. 289, no homers, 2 knocked in, 2 for 9 in his career against Carlos Martinez. Phillips last night charged with an error at second on a tough error call. A ball that just exploded in front of him and bounced over his shoulder. 7 hits in the series against the Cubs, trying to get the Reds rolling here in the first. Steps out, takes a look at Jim Riggleman, who rolls through signs at third as usual. Billy Hatcher in the first base coach's box for the Reds. Jay Bruce on deck. Hopped up to the right side. Kozma under it with 2 away. He'll squeeze it. That'll do it. The Reds get a runner on a walk. Nothing to show for it. Homer to the mound. He'll face Matt Carpenter when we return. Matt Carpenter ready to come to the plate. Let's take a look at the Cardinals starting lineup, brought to you by Alexis. Carpenter in the leadoff spot. 2 more doubles last night, a 5-game hitting streak. Jason Hayward, 2 productive at bats for him last night. Holiday's hit in 9 straight. So is Peralta. John Jay, who's been tough against the Cardinals, nearly a career 300 hitter. Molina, who had the big hit last night, a bases clearing double that plated 3. Cosma hits in the 9th spot. And Carlos Martinez hits in the 8th spot, and Carlos Martinez will bat in the number 9 position. They're waiting a while for this, Chris. Here's Homer.
Well, Homer Bailey probably waiting, it seems like probably an eternity since he's been on the mound for the Reds. You have to go back to last August. He had elbow operation over the winter, was slowed down in spring training. And you hope that he's going to be able to be somewhat good with his command, because that's really what it's all about.
Career 600 batting average for Carpenter against Homer. He steps in at 378, a homer, 7 knocked in. Carpenter last year led the league in walks and also in number of pitches seen per at bat. But you can't put him in a pigeonhole, Chris. Sometimes he'll swing at the first pitch, sometimes he'll go deep in the count. 1 ball, 1 strike here.
Well, he's got such a good short swing. And what makes Matt Carpenter so good is not only his intensity at the plate and his calmness about him, if you can be both those at the same time, but he's got a good quick path, and he fouls off a lot of breaking balls to stay alive in the count. He really makes the pitchers work.
1 ball, 2 strikes. You say intensity, and it's a great line. When Joe Torre was here, he coined it, and I never heard anybody say it better. Torre said, to be successful in this game, you have to be intense but not tense. Sounds easy, but difficult to do. Carpenter's a good example of that, and there's another short swing bullet into right. A base hit for Carpenter, the leadoff hitter on here in the first.
It looks like he went out of the zone to chase his breaking ball down, but Homer Bailey, here's what his pitch arsenal is. He throws his fastball nearly 60% of the time, about major league average. He likes the slider a lot, and that changeup that he throws is actually a split finger, and the curveball is more of a spike curve than a knuckle curve, but that's pretty much what the 4 pitches are for Homer.
Hayward to the plate. Double play depth are the Reds. Jason in at 225, no homers, 2 knocked in.
I wonder if Jason remembers this day in 2010 when he was a 20-year-old rookie for the Atlanta Braves. He drove in their winning run in a 4-3 game over the Rockies and collected his 15th run batted in of the year. That's a pretty good start considering it's only April the 18th.
Anybody love to have that in their record book as a start for a month of April. Short lead for Carpenter, who's now 4 for 4 leading off innings for the Cardinals. 4, 6, yes sir, 3. A double play for the Reds erases the base hit by Carpenter, 2 away. Let's check your forward defensive alignment for the Reds. In the outfield, Marlon Byrd in left, Hamilton in center, Bruce in right. The double play combo, Phillips and Cozart take care of that one, and Frazier Votto at the corners with Brian Pena back behind the plate catching Homer Bailey. Not often that Pena's caught Bailey, and I hope you had a chance to see Jim Day's interview with Brian before the game. He put it about as well as you can, and that's really in the essence what Brian Pena is. He said, I want Homer to be as comfortable as he could be, and I guess that's one of the keys to being a good catcher.
Catchers wear so many different hats. You know, sometimes you've got to be a pitching coach, sometimes a big brother, sometimes a sounding board. And Brian Pena knows what it takes. And I think even the fact that he's, catching now in a 6th straight game, I mean, he relishes the fact that he's playing Major League Baseball, loves being back there, but he knows his main responsibility is the guy on the mound.
1 ball, 1 strike to Holiday with his 9-game hitting streak, stepping in at 344. Drill to left. Here comes Bird. He won't get there. It's going to be 2 hops to the warning track. Holiday around first. He'll pull into second with a 2-base hit. So 2 hits in the inning, a runner in scoring position with 2 outs, and here comes Matt Adams.
You know, one of the things that I always wanted when you would go over a team in the pre-series meeting, going over a scouting report, I wanted to know whether a guy is hitting the ball hard right now. Is he seeing the ball big? And Holiday certainly is. He's the guy that got the rally going last night with a base hit to opposite field. A good level swing right there. Rifles it in the gap in left center field. Those are the guys that you got to pitch especially careful to when they're seeing it big.
So a homer from the stretch. Here's Adams to the plate at 179. Matt installed in that cleanup spot. Has struggled early. He was an RBI machine the last 2 years for the Cardinals. His first 22 at bats, he stranded 18 batters, trying to get out of that funk with 1 homer and 3 knocked in. That's hit through the hole into right. Here comes Bruce charging. They're going to send the runner. Here comes the throw. They got a shot at him. It's wide. The run will score, and going to second will be Matt Adams. So Adams delivers the base hit. The Reds do not shift against them with the runner on. And the end result, the Cardinals take an early 1-0 lead.
Well, with 2 outs, you don't normally get a chance to get that runner at the plate. Holiday, 35 years old, doesn't run great. A great throw on the money might have a chance to get it, but normally not. Oquendo's going to wave them all the way, and that's 3 fairly sharply hit balls here in the first inning out of 4 batters for homer.
So Adams continues his successful hitting against Bailey. He's now 7 for 11 with a homer, and that run batted in gives the Cardinals a 1-0 lead. Sitting at second is Adams now, and here comes Peralta. Well, Holiday stretches his hitting streak to 10, and Peralta also in 9 straight, trying to do the same. Short lead for Adams. That's a dribbler to the right side. Phillips has it. That'll take care of it, but 3 hits in the inning, a single, a double, and a single. The RBI goes to Matt Adams. Cardinals lead 1-0. Five-year reunion of the 1990 wire-to-wire champions on Friday, April 24th. Friday, see your Redlegs take on the Cubs in 90s throwback jerseys. Plus 30 of the 1990 World Series champs will be honored post-game on the field before a spectacular fireworks show. For tickets, call 513-381-REDS. Visit select Kroger locations or reds.com/tickets. 25 years ago. Hard to believe. Holiday we'll try to find out if he tweaked something rounding third, and as he crossed the plate, he exits the game. John Jay moves to left. Peter Borges comes in to play center field. Take a look, see if we can pick anything up with Holiday rounding third and scoring. Looks fine there. As he crossed the plate, he kind of slowed down, but really nothing measurably noticeable. But we'll wait to hear from the Cardinals clubhouse. Bruce down to first against the shift, and they'll get the out. They did not shift in 3 of the at-bats against Bruce last night, did shift in 1. And talking to Jose Aquindo before the game, we asked him, everybody does it different, Chris, and you've spent so much time with infield coaches and managers talking about shifting in the game today, and there's more of it. 4 years ago there were 2,000 shifts. Last year there were 14,000 shifts in Major League Baseball. Aquindo says they use the numbers, they use statistics, but like the old style, he uses his eyes more than anything else. Marlon Byrd flies this one to right. Foul territory. Adams over. Got it. 2 away. I guess in this day and age, there's a tendency to overgo statistically and decide to do it that way. The Cardinals do it the old-fashioned way more of the time.
Well, they certainly get a lot of defensive metrics, though, on the computer, George, because you can track exactly where those balls are hit. I think it varies on what the out pitch is for a certain pitcher. And I think Martinez is probably going to throw more changeups and curveballs to Jay Bruce. Those are pitches that are slower, and he's probably going to pull those more. So you're going to pull those more against Martinez, so you shift with him, and you may not with Michael Wacha, because Wacha was successful throwing a high fastball away from Bruce. So a lot of it goes by the pitcher and not just what the computer says.
There's Pena in at 235, 2 for 6 in his career against Martinez. Shot at the left center. That's a base hit for Bryant. So Bryant Pena is on with 2 outs, and that'll bring Cozart to the plate. If there's been a real bright spot other than Joey Votto in this first 2 weeks of the season at the plate, it's this guy, Chris. After a real difficult last year, he went back. He and Jay Bruce really went through the same offseason operation, and that is, number one, as soon as the season ended, they started working on the new year. Cozart reworked his swing. Bruce tried to rework his knee after the knee difficulties, and for Cozart, it's working so far. What do you see different?
Well, if you remember Zach last year, he got off to a horrendous start, and it just didn't get any better. And sometimes you get off to a bad start, and you decide to press, and then you get into all sorts of mechanical problems with your swing. You're trying harder, it gets worse, and it's like you're circling the drain, and you can't stay out.
He keeps that. It's a foul ball.
I think really all Zach wants to do, and to talk to Zach about this, and also with Don Long, the hitting coach, he just wants to get himself into a consistent hitting position as the ball is coming to the plate. Not they're trying to rework the swing so much that you wouldn't recognize him from one year to the next, because when you're in the major leagues, all it takes is one little adjustment, very small thing. It could be that you want your hands a little bit higher, or it could be that you stride it slightly differently, but rarely do you overhaul. And I think he's just trying to keep that front shoulder in and stay a little bit more solid with the core.
True for pitching or hitting. Who helped you the most at those moments in your career?
When I was in the minor leagues, I would say former Red great Sammy Ellis. He was a guy that got me going the right way.
Get in your head first and your mechanic second.
I think the big thing, and that's a perfect example on that last pitch for Cozart. Last year, to follow a pitch that was low and away, his head would drift all the way over the plate. He would almost bend over looking at it. And as soon as you start bending over, you lose power in your core. And this time, as you see, he looked at it, recognized it was a ball, and didn't move his head.
It's pretty good right center field. Hayward going over, calling for it at the warning track. He'll haul it in. It's pretty good by Cozart. Not enough, though. The Reds have a walk and a hit through 2 and trail the Redbirds.
second inning of Homer Bailey. I'm Jim Day. We've told you before how Brian Pena likes to clean his own catcher's gear. He says it keeps him humble. Well, a lot of catchers have a catcher's bag, and their equipment's just everywhere. Not Brian Pena. He might be the most organized catcher in baseball. This is 9:45 this morning, and he already had his gear laid out, and I mean meticulously. He's got his 3 bats in order. Everything has its place, and he places them like this every single day. And again, that was at 9:45 a.m. this morning. Part of the reason why he's a lovable guy, George and Chris.
Hey, JD, is it true that you asked him to come to your hotel room and straighten it out?
You know what? I did not, but the guy is very, very clean and organized. So, you know what? Off season, who knows? We might invite Pena over.
You know, we talked a lot about Reds who would make good managers, good coaches, and we remember, you know, guys who you figured somewhere along the road would be a manager or a coach. And I guess, JD, you'd probably put Brian Pena on that list.
He's a student of the game. There's no question about that. And we've talked before about how backup catchers seem to really go on and make good coaches and good managers. Not only does he have to call the game when he's in there, but when he's not, he follows the game as closely as anyone from the dugout. So, indeed, I think he's got some coaching in his future.
More than half of the managers today have catching backgrounds. Not a surprise. And this guy at the plate's another example. Yadi Molina, Chris, I think we both believe will be a manager someday. He just is that special player, special person. Down to third, Frazier has it. Watching Molina with the WBC Puerto Rican team and the way players gravitated to him, the way he mentored them, and the way he does it in his own clubhouse. If he wants to, I mean, he'll be a manager, and his 2 brothers might be managers too.
Yeah, you're right about that. I mean, that whole family is full of guys that are certainly qualified from a baseball standpoint, but I would imagine, George, it's harder and harder nowadays to get a guy that has as much money in the bank as you would if you played, 15 years in the major leagues now to come out of retirement and manage. I mean, you really have to love it to want to do that. Most of the guys who are managers were backup catchers who are still doing it for the money.
One away. Here's Jay. John at 200. An even 200. Against the Reds in his career, 296. Against Bailey in his career, 296. And that's right about where he is for his career as a major leaguer, just under 300. Solid offensive player. Bailey overall, Jay is 8 for 27 and a homer against him. He and his wife celebrating this spring with a brand new baby girl. That's the good news. Bad news is Mama and the baby went home to Florida, and long couple of weeks with that baby sitting so far away. Looking forward to getting a chance to be together again. Dribble down to second. They got a hustle. Off balance throw by Phillips. He makes the tough plays look so easy. There's 2 away. Just a reminder, as you enjoy a cold one, to look forward to Miller Time later in today's game, brought to you by Miller Lite.
Well, a much better inning here for Homer Bailey in the second. You see him waving his arm down there. I never remember really Homer doing a whole lot of that. Sometimes, pitchers have different feelings in your arm. By the time you get as many big league innings in as Homer Bailey, rarely do you go out on the mound where your arm feels 100%. I mean, there's always a nick or a bruise or an ache or a pain of some kind. But he's thrown a lot more breaking balls in this inning. He got Molina on a slider. He got the left-handed hitting John Jay on a changeup, and that first pitch here to Pete Cosmo was a slider.
Big number 34 set to deliver to Cosma. That's on the corner for a strike. Your home plate umpire in game 2 of this series is Manny Gonzalez. Jimmy Reynolds is at first. Paul Schreiber at second. And Clint Fagan's your third base umpire. Clint Fagan roots to Northern Kentucky. His mom Teresa living in Northern Kentucky. He says hi to Mom back home. And that's a quick 1-2-3 in the second. Bailey wanted that, got it. Reds go back to work, trailing 1-0. Bailey due up first. By Elk and Elk, serious lawyers for serious injuries. Reds in day games over the last 3 years. 2012, they were first in the National League. 2013, fourth. 2014, third. Pretty good numbers, Chris.
You hope it bears true. Of course, a lot of that, I think, has to do with the fact that you can run Johnny Cueto out there during the day, and it's pretty much guaranteed he's going to, if not get a win, certainly keep his ball club right in the middle of things.
Bailey slices this one to right, leading off the top of the third. That's a fly ball out, one away. You know, you come back after any kind of arm surgery, and especially in the elbow or flexor tendon area, and pitching coaches will tell you, and I know, Chris, you tell young pitchers this, sometimes you're more worried about hitting than pitching. You got to be cautious.
Nice cautious swing right there. I think, though, you don't come back, though, George, unless you know you're 100%. I mean, if he feels like there's any kind of sharp pain, specific pain to that elbow, he wouldn't be on the mound right now. And although it is uncanny how often you see a pitcher injure himself swinging the bat. I never could figure that out, but I have seen it happen a lot.
Here's Billy trying to get on base for the Reds. Last night, unable to get the offense moving, and again, first time up today, a ground ball to second. 1 ball, 1 strike. You talk about Johnny Cueto in day games, automatic. And if you look at the numbers, when Billy Hamilton gets on base, the Reds are a much better offensive team. Key to beating the Cardinals, get this guy on base.
Well, the key to beating anybody, or at least getting this offense going, is getting Billy Hamilton on base one way or another. And it really doesn't matter how. I mean, Billy is still a young kid as far as major league experience, still a young man.
Yeah, stays alive.
I think the more that he's able to study those guys who figured it out, I think Matt Carpenter has simply figured it out. Now, Billy's got more athleticism than Carpenter, but not nearly the kind of experience. Carpenter's 29 years old, Billy's 24. And a lot of it is learning the strike zone, learning how pitchers or teams are going to pitch you, what you can and can't do well, and just trying to be a tough, grinded out hitter.
Sliced into center, Peter Borges there, and there's 2 away.
See, even though that was ended up as being an out, a fly ball out, I think it was a good at bat for Billy Hamilton. Hung in there, ran the count to 3-2, saw a lot of pitches. And that last swing was a better one because he wasn't falling out of the batter's box as he was a couple of pitches earlier.
mean, you said it exactly right. A work in progress. Delino DeShields has spent so much time mentoring him. Don Long, Lee Tinsley have spent numerous hours, as did Brooke Jacoby before him, trying to speed up the growth process. And the Cardinals know it too. I mean, you go in, yeah, you don't want Votto to beat you with a home run or Bruce, but you don't want Hamilton on base. Joey walked first time up. And ahead in the count 2-0. Back-to-back walks for the guy who, when he's healthy, usually is the league leader in on-base percentage and walks, and he's off to that kind of a start this year. A reminder, over 60 live events, 2 networks, 1 month. It's April in the Ohio on Fox Sports Ohio. Stay tuned next week to find out how you can enter to win a tremendous baseball experience.
You know, if you've got a guy like Joey Votto in the lineup who's seeing the ball well, he hit a home run last night, and you have 2 outs, that's situational walk right there, because Martinez did not look like he wanted anything to do with him. He's going to continue to do that to Votto until the guy after him starts swinging the bat a little bit.
Broken bat, base hit by Frazier, so 2 out, 2 on for the Reds, and here comes Phillips.
I mean, because in pitching, I think you always look at 1 or 2 guys on the other team. You say, all right, these are my guys that I have trouble with, or these are the guys that I don't want to allow to beat me. So you walk Joey Votto and you put the pressure on the guys behind him, Frazier and then Brandon Phillips.
Here's Brandon in his career now 2 for 10 against Carlos Martinez. Tries to check it. That's a strike. Oh, we talked get him on, get him over, get him in. The Cardinals did it early last night. The Reds struggled to do that last night. The only run they produced was a homer. The hit by Frazier was the first hit by the Reds this series with a runner on. They are now 1 for 15 with runners on base. Swing and a miss, 0-2.
2 pretty good back-to-back pitches right there. Brandon Phillips looking fastball on both. Got a first pitch slider and then the second pitch changeup. And this is how good your changeup is when you take a hack like that and you are just way ahead of that pitch. Of course, he puts you on the defensive, Martinez does, because he averages about 95 miles an hour of that fastball. And there's that slider, 0-2. You know, Martinez's changeup produces more swing and misses than most other right-handed changeups. And that just goes to show you that he's got a whippy arm. He sells it like a fastball. And a well-thrown changeup is probably one of the most difficult pitches in all baseball to hit.
1-2. He got him. Well, Frazier strikes out in the first, and this is strikeout number 2 for Martinez in the third. Red strand 2. They've left 4 on base. with Reds Live on Fox Sports Ohio with all the info you need for every day's game. Reds Live presented by Ray St. Clair Roofing. Freddie Benavidez going over his defensive charts as the Reds strand 2. They've stranded 4 through the first 3 innings. Here's Carlos Martinez to step in as we go to the bottom of 3. First inning, single by Carpenter. He's erased on a double play. Double by Holiday, and then he scores on Matt Adams' base hit. Carpenter then is now in the on-deck circle from that first inning. Holiday left the game after stretching his hitting streak to 10 straight, and we hear now it's tightness in his back. That's why he left the ball game. So John Jay is in his customary number 3 spot. Carlos, first at bat. Second time he's faced the Reds this season. Right back to Homer. And there's one away. I guess there is always emotion on your first start of the year, but after starting the season following surgery, Chris, I guess Homer, those first 2 innings, just get through them, get into some kind of a rhythm, and get your feet back under you on the mound.
Well, you're right. In a major league atmosphere, this is unlike, simulated games. It's unlike pitching on the backfield in minor league camp and spring training. It's even unlike pitching down in Louisville for the Bats. And this has not really been a friendly place for Homer Bailey. Of course, a lot of pitchers can complain about that. But for Bailey in particular, lifetime in St. Louis, he is 1-5. His earned run average is 5.7. The team is 1-8 in his 9 previous starts career-wise here in St. Louis. So he's hoping to get a couple of runs in support, deliver a good game, and pick up a rare win.
Here's Carpenter, who stretched his hitting streak with a single in the first. 6 straight now for him. And boy, he's had success against Homer. Now 16 for 26 against Homer. Talk about a big league atmosphere, and always electrifying when you come here to St. Louis. Sellouts most of the time, and this has become a great rivalry when the Cardinals come to Cincinnati. Same story. Those second and third decks make things a little different than the minor leagues. Hop down the left field line, curving, it'll be in the seats. In fact, Chris Bryant was saying that yesterday after his debut with the Chicago Cubs. It's a whole lot different from minor league ballparks and then the spring training ballparks where there's just the seats around the stadium. To be at Wrigley, and he said it was pretty electrifying. Struck out 3 times, was 0 for 4. You got to figure he's going to figure it out, though.
Well, in a way, George, you can kind of compare Homer Bailey and Chris Bryant because everybody has very high expectations for both of them for different reasons. Obviously, Chris Bryant just coming on the scene, having hit the home run record in the minor leagues last year, being the top prospect in the Cubs, deservedly trying to make the team in spring training, but not making the team for whatever reason. Now he's up there. Everybody thinks he's going to come on the scene and just be a terrific pitcher. On the other hand, you got the Reds. They award Homer Bailey with a long-term contract worth a whole lot of money. So your expectations for him are very high. But it's not easy because there are other guys trying out there as well.
Votto shovels it to Bailey. There's 2 away, and here comes Jason Hayward, who bounced into a double play his first time up. George Grant, Chris Welch, Jim Day. Don't forget, Ryan Giesenslaw and Jeff Pecora will be by with all our post-game festivities as Kent Dream Weaver weaves us through this long road trip, 10-game road trip for the Reds, 11 days before they head home next weekend for the celebration of the 1990 Reds World Series champions. Down in the truck, Josh Hall's our producer, Roy Alfers. Uncle Roy's our director here at Busch Stadium. He's been through all 3 Busch Stadiums, and this is Busch Stadium number 3. Matt Sigafus and Lauren White. That's a rocket shot to right. Bruce going back, looking up. It is gone. hits his first homer as a Redbird, and he's getting the St. Louis greeting with that shot.
You know, I think it's a misnomer that most left-handers like the ball down and in. Big, tall guys like Jason Hayward, Adam Dunn, Matt Adams, these guys really like the ball out on the outer third of the plate about thigh high. And he got the hit going on that one. It sounded great coming off his bat.
Well, the Cardinals have been scratching for runs for the last week. That's a great catch by Brandon Phillips. The magician does it again to rob John Jay of a potential base hit. But the big swing by Hayward gives the Cardinals a 2-0 lead. Time this year, staked to a 2-0 lead, 2 runs, 4 hits for the Cardinals, no runs, 2 hits for Cincinnati. The runs in the first, double by Holiday, a single by Adams made it 1-0, and Jason Hayward's first homer as a Cardinal makes it 2-0. Martinez going back to work. Here's Jay Bruce. Bruce bounced to first, his first time up.
I'm watching Okendo in the dugout, George, and Matt Carpenter third. Carpenter started to go into his shift, and then Okendo decided to change his mind. A lot of off-speed pitches here in the last few batters for Carlos Martinez.
Down and in.
What I think is interesting for a guy that throws 95 miles an hour, Martinez, this is why you should be excited about this guy if you're a Cardinal fan.
He's got 2 strikeouts, Frazier in the first and Phillips in the third, and both of them were surgery-like strikeouts.
And they both came on off-speed pitches.
Now they'll shift Carpenter over with the count 2 balls and 2 strikes. They overshift. Swing and a miss. Bruce retired. How about the strikeout of Phillips last inning, Chris?
Third strikeout for Martinez on a changeup. This was interesting because here's a guy that throws 95 miles an hour, but in this at bat, the Reds have a rally going. 2 runners on, and Phillips does not see a fastball. Slider, changeup, slider, and then changeup for the strikeout. And it just goes to show you that, you know, throwing 95 may get you signed, but to get good hitters out, you have to have the other stuff going. And that's one reason why he's getting better and better as time goes on. It is just so important. If you're a young pitcher watching this game at home, you can learn a lot from a 23-year-old like Carlos Martinez. Yes, he's got a very talented arm, But the fact that he has those other pitches is the reason he's starting a game for the Cardinals today, not because he throws 95.
Marlon Byrd 0 for 4, 3 strikeouts yesterday. Popped up to the first baseman first time up today.
And it's interesting, really, that Yadier Molina behind the plate is calling all the pitches. In fact, he moved Martinez's locker in spring training next to his.
Ripped to right. Here comes Hayward. Got it. Boy, have a day, Jason Hayward. His first homer as a Cardinal, and a 2-time Gold Glover makes a Gold Glove catch and right with that one.
Got a good jump on this ball. He had to. That ball coming off a right-handed bat, really slicing.
Dandy.
Really one of the more athletic right fielders you're going to find.
I asked David Bell who he reminds him of, meaning Jason Hayward. He says Reggie Sanders. And you really do see that. You know, both his body type, he's a little bigger in the upper part of his body, and he said his personality too, and you can see that. He's just a likable young man. Mom and dad both Dartmouth graduates, comes from great stock, pleasant guy to be around, just like Reggie was. Number 22 has some fire too, and the Cardinals, you got to figure, Chris, we've seen it before. Players come here with 1 year left on a contract and they wind up signing multi-year deals.
Well, if it makes sense for both the ball club and the player, but I happen to like watching players in the last year of their contract.
Sure.
I mean, that's when they're most motivated.
Pena dribbles it out in front of the plate. Molina takes care of it, and the Reds go 1-2-3 in the fourth. Cardinals lead at 2-0. Adams leads it off, and we return.
St. Louis behind Fred Benavides. Right there is Johnny Cueto. Johnny Cueto last night, a tough 7th inning, but what has made Johnny Cueto one of the best pitchers in the game? We got further indication of that this morning. There'll be a lot of guys the next day that might take it a little easy. This was about 9:55 this morning after a rough night last night. Cueto right back at it and running the stairs. You heard many times Brian Price saying, watch Johnny Cueto, what he does. Follow what he does, you young pitchers, if you want to be an outstanding pitcher someday. We just thought that we'd pass that along, something that we saw this morning. That's why that guy's so good.
You're right, J.D., and you know full well over the years as Bailey set to deliver to Adams. You know, that started back in the tenure with Mario Soto. Soto impressing upon him on how he had to work harder to be the pitcher that he could be, and Dusty Baker. Baker called him in early in his career when Dusty was here and told him what the great pitchers he played with did to keep themselves in good shape. Not sit on a bike, but run the stairs, run the town.
Yeah, that's a great point. You know, Mario Soto has always been there to help Johnny in a lot of different ways. One, helping him with the changeup, but I really think there was a conversation he had with Dusty Baker. that set him straight. And all of a sudden we saw Johnny doing extra work, running the stairs. I mean, doing a little bit more. And now in his free agent year, there's no better time to keep yourself in tip-top shape than the year you hit before you hit the jackpot.
Matt Adams 2 for 2. He singled in the Cardinals' first run and a base hit to right. And the Reds, who had been shifting against Adams, didn't do it twice, and he burned them twice. Figure it out, right? Here's Peralta, bounced out first time up.
You know what you notice about Homer Bailey over the years is when he first came in the major leagues, he threw the ball pretty much from an arm angle that was right on top. He was a four-seam fastball pitcher, threw that four-seamer up in the zone, big overhand breaking ball. And now he's kind of dropped that arm slot a little bit to three-quarter, much more in the way of a two-seam fastball and a lower angle slider, reducing more ground balls now than he did early in his career. And early in his career, he had a conversation with Dick Pohl, who was a pitching coach for Dusty Baker, and he tried to get Homer Bailey to do that years ago.
Yep.
And Homer didn't want to. You know, you come up and you read all your press clippings, you're a #1 pick, and you're not about to change until you have to figure it out on your own.
And now at this stage of his career, I remember talking to Homer over a year ago, in retrospect, saying that, you know, I was stubborn, and now I can give credit to Dick Pohl for helping me turn the corner. Hey, when Greg Maddux made it to the Hall of Fame last year, who was the first pitching coach you mentioned? Dick Pohl, helping him become a major leaguer. Hit hard down to short, backhanded. They will get one, and that's all. Nice play by Cozart to get the force at second. MLB.TV Premium, the #1 live streaming sports service, is celebrating 13 years. Watch every out-of-market game live or on demand in true HD on over 400 mobile and connected devices. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV for details. Here's Molina, bounced to second first time up. Well, Yachty, not in his own clubhouse, but in the media and around town, answered a lot of critics this week. He was 1 for his first 21 and has been red hot on this homestand, and he capped that with a shot into the left field corner with the bases loaded last night to give the Cardinals a 4-1 lead after a 1-1 tie.
Now, when he does it against the Reds, I mean, I don't think there's anything that can make a Cardinals fan happier than that. I just feel like Yadier Molina and Brandon Phillips just really try to elevate their game just a little bit. I know they're pros, they're playing 160 games, right? And just it's another of a long stretch of games. But there's something special about playing these two teams against each other.
Which is great. And in the old days, we had a lot of it. There's not much of it these days. I remember last week when we talked to Rob Dibble and Randy Myers and Norm Charlton about what got that ball club cooking. It was that first series of the year when they got in the dust up with the Houston Astros, and they carried that to a world championship. You need a little juice. That's why to Molina. And, you know, truth be told, you know, Brandon admitted he probably shouldn't have done what he did when they tussled with each other. But over the years, they've developed a great respect for each other. That's behind them, but fans will remember it forever. Phillips will always get booed here, and Molina will always get booed in Cincinnati. Nothing wrong with that. Pete Rose got booed every place he went.
And loved every boo.
Exactly.
At least they're paying attention to you.
Amen. 2 balls, 1 strike. Homer sitting on 51 pitches. A pitch count for him today, Chris?
You know, I don't know what the pitch count is for Homer Bailey. I think it's going to be more of the eyeball test than anything else. And, you know, no one knows Homer Bailey better than Brian Price.
There goes the runner. Right center field hit pretty good. There goes Hamilton. He won't get there. He cuts it off at the wall. Rounding third and scoring will be Peralta, and Molina cashes in again. A run scoring hit. His 7th run batted in of the season. His 4th run batted in the last 2 games against the Reds, and it's 3-0 St. Louis.
Well, Yadier is beginning to really silence the critics. That's a slider that kind of hung up in the zone for him, and boy, he hit it the other way and hit it hard. Well, the difference between that ball going in the gap for Homer Bailey and that ball being grounded, say, to the second baseman is only about 3 inches. But if you leave it up, those guys whack it pretty good. But if you throw it down around the knees, you end up getting the result you want. Fine margin of error.
250th double of his career. He's 1 for 2 and continues to hit over 300 for his career against Bailey. Here's John Jay, bounced to second first time up. That's funny because, I mean, you mentioned the right thing. His last at bat, it was that slider away that was down that Molina knocked right to Brandon Phillips, who turned it into an out. And the same thing with Jay. Softly hit to short. Bozard has it. 2 away. And here comes Cosmo. Game 2 of the series today. Tomorrow it'll be Mike Leake going for his first win against Adam Wainwright. So the road doesn't get any easier. That's a Sunday night game. And then the Reds, after the late night game here, head to Milwaukee for 4 games. Anthony DeSclafani against Willie Peralta, who's legit. That's Monday. Reds live. It's an early start game. Reds live at 6:30, the game at 7, and then the next 2 nights, Jason Marquis against Mike Fiers. Reds live at 7:30, and the Reds live 7:30 on Wednesday, Cueto against Jimmy Nelson. And Thursday, Homer will be back on the mound against former Red Kyle Loesch. That's an afternoon game before the Reds come home for next weekend series. They'll walk Cosma intentionally to deal with the pitcher, Carlos Martinez. By the way, we did talk to Brian Price after the game last night, and when they did walk John Jay to get to Yadi Molina before that bases loaded double, and Johnny Cueto confirmed it, that it was Brian's decision all the way, and it was the smart play percentage wise to set up a double play. But he did ask Johnny what he felt about it. Johnny said that he told him, you make the decision, it's your decision, and the decision was Brian's to walk the batter and face Molina.
I'm surprised it was controversial at all. I mean,
Yeah.
that would have been the only thing that I would have considered.
Votto flags it down and will tap the bag. He saves another run. Carlos Martinez grounds out, but before the inning ends, Adams starts it with a single. Molina ends it with a double. 3-0, but the Reds defense stops it there. From St. Louis, Cincinnati Reds baseball on Fox Sports Ohio, being brought to you by Meyer. By your local Ford dealer. Ford, go further. And by Cincinnati Children's, ranking 3rd in the country on United States News and World Report's Best Children's Hospital. Ballpark Village, right across the street from Busch Stadium 3. 3 runs, 6 hits for the Cardinals. No runs, 2 hits for the Reds. Our steel primetime performer, our power tool performer, the fewest runs allowed in the first 9 games in team history for the Cardinals since 1914. And it starts in this season, Chris. The Cardinals almost always get off to a great April start, and this year is no different. They're in first place, 6-3.
Well, for the Cardinals right now, it's all about their starting rotation. Their starters are number 1 in just about every category that you can be number 1 in. Runners per 9 innings, earned run average, average innings per start, all of that.
Hit pretty good to left, going back, looking up, it's going to be gone. Zach Cozart continues his hot hitting early with his first homer of the year. He trots around the bags for the first run for the Reds on this day, and it's now a 3-1 ball game.
Well, good for Zach, because there are a lot of people jumping off the Cozart wagon last year after he struggled mightily really all season long. Never got it on track. Looked a little better in spring training, but looks a whole lot better right now. That's a Zach Cozart swing that we saw a lot of when he first broke into the major leagues. Very quick on an inside fastball. He's got kind of surprising power because he doesn't look like he's a big guy, but he's pretty strong.
That'll go on the mantle for his young son, Cooper. There's Bailey. Fly ball to right first time up. Reds have had base runners in every inning except last inning. Had a walk in the first to Votto, a single by Pena in the second, a walk to Votto, and a base hit by Frazier in the third. But it takes him here until the 5th for the leadoff homer for Cozart to get on the board. 389 feet worth of round tripper. A Zach attack in St. Louis. Smiles a little wider after a swing like that, huh? That's a called third strike, and for Carlos Martinez, that's strikeout number 4.
You know, for Zach Cozart, it's not just about Zach. It's about all the guys that put a lot of time in to help him. Lee Tinsley, the assistant hitting coach, Don Long. You know, they're looking at video, they're trying things, they're repeating the soft toss and the tee work over and over and over again. So it's all those hours that you put in the batting cage that change things around. And nowadays it's more of a team effort than anything else. I mean, it used to be with one batting coach and no video, you were pretty much on your own. He'd give you a couple of tips and it would be up to you to go find somebody to throw you batting practice. But not anymore. They have assets here if you use them.
And the 2 most time-demanding jobs, I mean, you know the manager has a lot to do, but your hitting coach and your pitching coach, tireless. And it popped into the air in center, and they're going to keep Hamilton off the bases again. 2 away. Ground out, fly ball out twice to center for Billy Hamilton, 0 for 3. Here's Votto. He's walked twice.
Yeah, I wonder if Brian Price if you continue to see Hamilton struggle, would you consider dropping him down in the order a little bit just to take a little pressure off of him? Because right now he's the focal point of this offense, next to Joey Votto. And if you're a pitcher out there and you are so concentrating on getting the guy out because you got Votto in the on deck circle, well, you want to be able to pitch around Votto, but if Billy Hamilton's on deck, you'll never be able to pitch around Votto.
I think Brian said that in spring training, and he did it a couple of times in spring training, dropping Hamilton down to the number 7 spot. And if he does continue to struggle, you see him doing that. He said that there is no written in stone lineup.
But at the same time, he doesn't want to be wishy-washy with his lineup and have players on the ball club second-guessing, like experimenting with things. So you walk a fine line as a manager that way. I think more than anything right now, Brian is trying to get out of this little losing streak they've got going. They've lost 2 in a row at 4 out of 5. They've got a lot of this road trip left to go.
Did pretty good to right, but it'll be right in the range of Hayward. Zach Cozart gets the Reds on the board, his first homer of the year. 3-1 Cardinals, top of the order. Carpenter due up. Ohio girl Christine and Mo Egger from 700 WLW for the Reds fan cam next Friday night. Your chance to answer Reds trivia, win great prizes, be part of Reds Live. Get started at 6 o'clock at the Holy Grail at the Banks this coming Friday night. Talk some baseball with Mo. Great baseball fan, great Reds fan, great sports fan, and Christine always lights up the place wherever she shows up too. So join us at the Holy Grail. Boy, Chris, wasn't it fun on opening day to be down there at the Banks and just see the electricity? You know, you and I have walked to the park for so many years. You used to go to games with your dad at Old Riverfront Stadium, walking through the desolate area. Now to see what's happened there, wow.
It's a place to be.
Yeah.
And not just for opening day, but I mean, any game during the week, people begin to get into that area down around the Banks around 3, 4 in the afternoon, have a little bite to eat, a couple of cocktails, come over to the ball game. You know, it's more than just going to the game, finding a place to park, getting to your car, and going home. And it really should be.
Yep. Here's Carpenter, single to right in the first. Bounce to Votto in the third, 1 for 2. Well, Homer trails 3-1. He's now past the 60 pitch mark, but really for what is start number 1 after a shortened spring training, your report card on Homer so far.
Well, you know, 3 runs and 4+ innings. Not certainly something that Homer wants to hang his hat on, but hopefully his arm is healthy. He's had pretty good control of his slider. He just made one bad hanging slider pitch to Yadier Molina, who lined it in the right center field gap. The home run ball that Jason Hayward hit was just a fastball that he got up. And you're expected to be a little bit rusty, but these games count.
Grass cutter down to short. Quick flip from Cozart, and there's one away.
You know, the bottom line really for Johnny Cueto and Homer Bailey and Mike Leake tomorrow and DeSclafani on Monday, at some point this Reds offense is going to have to score some runs to take the pressure off the pitching. Right now the margin of error is so thin that, you know, Homer Bailey's probably standing on the mound thinking, if I give up 2 runs in this inning, this ball game might be over, because our offense hasn't shown the ability to put runs on the board.
Here's Hayward, gets a big ovation after a home run, his first as a Cardinal, made it 2-0 in the third. Mike Leake goes tomorrow against Adam Wainwright, another tough row to hoe against Waino. And then on Monday, Chris, Anthony DeSclafani goes against Willie Peralta at Milwaukee. Your impressions so far of Anthony DeSclafani?
Yeah, he's an excellent acquisition. Besides being just a wonderful young man, he's got a very good arm. I like his fastball. It's got movement on it. And he's a guy that has a much better off-speed pitches than I thought, too, especially that changeup. So I'm very happy that the Reds were able to get such a fine player in return for Matt Latos.
JD, you've been with him at spring training. We were all impressed with him down there. What's your evaluation of DeSclafani through the first couple of starts?
Well, we did an interview with him today, which you're going to see on Monday, and he's very serious guy. They're trying to loosen him up, but he said, you know what, my goal is to stay in this rotation and be a solid Major League Baseball player. I might loosen up later on, but right now I'm locked in and I'm going to stay locked in. But by the way, happy 25th, Anthony DeSclafani. 25 today, so a big old Fox Sports Ohio happy birthday, and I will agree, a terrific acquisition.
Did you get him to smile when you said happy birthday?
I did get a few smiles out of him, yes. I got the origin of his name, Disco, as well. So you'll have to stay tuned for that on Monday.
Monday on our Reds Live pregame show.
It'll be Monday during the game open portion.
Good.
I believe it's a 20 after start.
So that'll give you plenty of time to get your brats before the game in Milwaukee?
Perhaps. I'm trying to work on the waistline, but I might mix one in.
Or two.
3.
4. 2 balls, 1 strike. The Peter Borges who came in for Holiday. If he joined us late, Matt Holliday stretched his hitting streak to 10 straight with a double in the first inning and later scored on a Matt Adams single to give the Cardinals a 1-0 lead, but he left the game with tightness in his back. Borges came in for him. Borges lined to second first time up, robbed of a hit by Brandon Phillips. He takes a walk here, and it's a guy that can steal a base, so Homer has to watch him. Cardinals will run more this year with Borges and Hayward, Carpenter, and Wong. Hey, be part of the Major League Baseball All-Star action this summer in Cincinnati by visiting T-Mobile All-Star Fan Fest, world's largest interactive baseball theme park at the Duke Energy Center, July 10th through the 14th. Purchase your tickets now at allstargame.com. All-Star Game coming to Cincinnati. Short lead for Borges. He's going. Here comes the throw. It'll be high and not in time. Cardinals team that ran a lot during spring training to give everybody an indication they would run a lot this year, and Borges is one of the keys.
Well, he's really the only legitimate base stealer they have on this roster. They have some overall team speed, but not base stealing speed. Borges is a guy that's going to take advantage of a kind of a deliberate delivery to the plate by Homer Bailey and a throw that gets offline there by Brian Pena.
So Reds will respond by walking Adams intentionally so that Bailey will face Peralta.
You know, they're beginning to move around in the Reds bullpen. There's 2 outs, or it may not be a big emergency right now. But Bailey is moving up on 80 pitches. And he's probably got excited before this start. I don't know how well he slept last night. Even a guy, you know, as cool, as calm as this Texan is, you still get excited about your first big league start, especially after having not been out there since August. So, you know, you certainly don't want this inning to get away from you.
And while Jeff Pico and Brian Price didn't put a number on Homer Bailey, we figured it'd be somewhere around 80 pitches. And that's about where he's heading right now. With 2 outs, they're going to give him a chance to get Peralta and get out of the inning.
Of course, he's had 2 intentional walks, so you can subtract 8 from that number as far as pitches under stress.
Here's Peralta. Bounced out, bounced into a fielder's choice. 9-game hitting streak on the line. Homer from the stretch. Broken bat down to short, charging Cozart, and he got him. So Homer dodges the bullet in the 5th, strands 2. Reds still trail 3-1. When we return, Frazier to the plate. Of the 1990 wire-to-wire champs, as all fans in attendance will receive a 1990 commemorative print, plus as many as 30 members of the 90 team, including Barry Larkin, Chris Sabo. ED will be honored post-game on the field before the fireworks show. For tickets, call 513-381-REDS or visit reds.com/tickets. Fun weekend. Hope you join everybody at the ballpark by the river. 3-1 Redbirds. Reds going to work in the 6th. Carlos Martinez had allowed 2 walks to Votto, a single to Frazier, a single to Pena, and a homer by Cozart. The only dents in his armor. He struck out 4. And if you look at Martinez, you see the number 18 on his back. He came up from the minors, loved number 44, got number 44, and wore that through his early career here in St. Louis. He changed that this offseason to honor Oscar Taveras, the young outfielder who was killed in the automobile accident in the Dominican this past winter right after the season ended. They were so close. In opening day ceremonies here, they showed a video of Taveras, and very emotional for Carlos and his teammates. 22 years of age, Chris, to lose a talent like that is, sure, it hurts the Cardinals organization, but more importantly, it's just a sad tale for a young man who had such great promise.
Well, the young man and his girlfriend.
OT.
Martinez had a kind of a circuitous way that he made his way to the Cardinals. He was originally signed by the Boston Red Sox under a different name. Major League Baseball found out there were some shenanigans with his name and ID. They forced the Red Sox to cut him loose, and he was suspended for a year. During that time, the Cardinals did a lot of research in the background of his. They finally found the right ID, the right name, the right birth date, and so on, and inked him to a contract that got him a pretty sizable bonus. But he came right up through the Cardinal organization, and here at 23 years of age, he's already pitched in 16 postseason games, including some World Series appearances. So that kind of experience, that you're at that young age, well, that just helps you just leap a lot over a lot of other players that never get there.
Looping fly ball down the right field line, long run Hayward, it is foul. Well, Phillips will go back and try it again. Well, Martinez last week 6 innings, 4 hits against the Reds, and he's right about on the same track so far today. He's pitched well against Cincinnati in his career, 2-1 and an ERA just under 3. Both of the wins he has against the Reds came in relief.
Well, he's doing a good job of mixing his pitches up. He's got 4 pitches, 2 kinds of fastballs, 4-seamer, 2-seamer, slider, and a changeup. I don't see him shaking off Yadier Molina very much. So what Yadi calls for, Carlos throws. That's the arrangement that they have.
That's everybody's arrangement. Like a pitching coach behind the plate. 1 ball, 1 strike. Another fly ball almost in his tracks is Hayward, though. He'll put it in his pocket. 2 away. Cardinals have been dominant in this ballpark and dominant in this game, but Chris, realistically, you're only 2 swings away from tying this game up. So the Reds here in the 6th looking for something to ignite them. Here comes Jay Bruce, who's 0 for 2. Grounded out, struck out. No balls, 2 strikes, figuring this may be a time where Bruce might try to jerk one. They overshift on him now after the 0-2 count. It's funny, I asked Jose Aquindo about shifting against the Reds, and I asked him specifically about Bruce. He said, I kind of go by what I feel. He says, for instance, remember when Bruce was stuck at 99 home runs? We overshifted on him all the time because I thought he was trying to get home run number 100. This time he rifles it down to short, and Bruce is retired. The Reds go 1-2-3 in the 6th. They still trail at 3-1. That's Cheo Aquindo. Stick around for Reds Live, brought to you by Performance Kings Honda for a complete recap and interviews from the locker room. You want the story of what happened at the ball game? We've got it on Reds Live, brought to you by Performance Kings Honda. Now Homer goes to the bottom of the 6th. Molina will lead it off. Jay and Cosmo will follow. For the Cardinals, 3 runs, 6 hits, no errors, 5 left. The Reds, a run, 3 hits, no errors, 4 left. Molina had a big bases clearing double last night. Today, his double made it 3-0 in the 4th. The other Cardinal run scoring on a double by Matt Holliday and a single by Matt Adams in the 1st. After that, Holliday left the game with back tightness. Jason Hayward's first Cardinal home run made it 2-0, and then the run scoring hit by Molina, the 250th double of his career, made it 3-0. The only Reds run, if you joined us late, a leadoff homer by Zach Cozart in the 5th. I guess, Chris, as you walk around downtown St. Louis, Molina jerseys are probably the most prevalent, don't you think? There's another base hit. 2 for 3 again is Yadi Molina.
Well, I would think so, George. He's one of the longest tenured Cardinals, and of course, being the guy behind the plate as much and as important as he is in this ball club, all the contemporary jerseys you see are dominated by Molina. And you still see a lot of the old throwbacks. Musial is out there an awful lot.
Well, just like Rose, Bench, Perez, Morgan in Cincinnati. So Yadi's on, and here's Jay. 0 for 2, 2 ground ball outs, 1 to second, 1 to short. Line past the drawn in Frazier at third, and there's back-to-back base hits. That'll get action up again in the bullpen for the Reds.
Tony Cingrani's been throwing down there lightly. He's going to improve his pace here to kind of get ready in a hurry. You're down the bottom of the lineup. I'm not sure what Mike Matheny's going to do about the pitcher coming up who is on deck right now. But they've got action in their bullpen as well.
Jeff Pico will try it out and talk to Bailey.
That's not Cingrani after all. That's Manny Parra. This is a delay tactic, and this is the one area yet that Major League Baseball has not quite come in and rectified. I mean, you know, Jeff Pico's out there to talk to Homer Bailey, and it's a pitching coach and so on, but we all know what this is really all about. I'm not getting on Pico or the Reds, or if the Cardinals were doing it, we'd all have the same discussion.
When do you get to the point that it does infringe on the game and the dynamics of the game too much?
Well, Manny Gonzalez, home plate umpire, didn't waste a lot of time. He let him have his say, and then he ran out to the mound and said, okay, let's go break it up. So I don't know if the umpires have directives as to the number of seconds that talk should take. Some pitching coaches take longer to get to the mound than others. None of them are exactly sprinting.
Now, when Dick Williams came out to talk to you, to the stretches Bailey.
It was a quick conversation. It usually started with get, and the last word was lost.
Cosma looking down at third at Oquendo. Pete today line to center, was intentionally walked in the 4th with the pitcher Martinez due up next. Frazier anchored at third. If you get a bunt down, you try to get it to third and force Frazier to make the play. Showing bunt. They got a chance for third. Bailey will get the out. Good job by Homer to cover the line, and not a good bunt by Cosma, and he turns it into an out.
Oh, he bunts it right back to the pitcher, essentially. And I think Cosma on that was trying to conceal the fact that he was going to bunt until the very last second. Pena yelling, trying to make sure that Homer knows that he's got plenty of time. Homer did a good job. Did not rush that throw. Knew he had time. If he just makes a good, solid play, he gets the lead runner. Well, you just wonder why teams practice that over and over in spring training and can't get it down. So it happens to other teams, too, besides the Reds.
Here's Mark Reynolds, who will pinch hit for Martinez. So Martinez's day is done. Almost a similar outing against the Reds as on April the 12th when he went 6 innings, 4 hits. Here he goes 6 innings, 3 hits, 1 run. And the power swinging Reynolds pinch hits in the 9th spot with 2 on and 1 out.
This guy is a total mistake hitter.
Yep.
He's up there to do one thing: swing as hard as he can. When he hits it, it goes a long, long way. But if you make good quality pitches, you're really going to get him out just about every time.
Good outing for Carlos. He can only watch now and see if the Reds can do some business against the bullpen. Pena rolls through his signs again, and Homer steps off. We'll try it again. Jay at second, Cosma at first. In the dirt, good block by Pena. Good spot. 2-1. Hopped up right side. Here comes Bruce. Shallow right field. No advance by the runners, and there's 2 away. Back to the top of the order, Matt Carpenter. Jeff Pico, Brian Price trying to guide Bailey through this 6th inning, and you figured that this would be his last inning either way.
Well, I think he's got to be pleased with the fact that here he is with 2 outs in the 6th inning on his first time out.
Key at bat for Homer, key at bat for the Reds, trying to get Carpenter here. And Carpenter through his career has worn Homer out, coming in 15 for 25 at 600, and he's 1 for 3 today. Single to right, bounce to first, bounce to short.
You know, I know you got Homer coming up 4th in the inning, but I'm a little interested about it. I'm not questioning the move by Brian Price, but his options are: you got a left-hander in the bullpen down there right now, ready to go in Manny Parra. Decides to go with Homer Bailey.
Down the middle for strike 1.
So, you know, there's a lot of things that go into making a decision like that. One is that, well, you know, you want Homer Bailey to succeed here. Maybe you give him one more batter to get out of the inning by himself, and that way you don't have to make a double switch or anything when you bring Parra in.
That's ripped to right, going back. Bruce looking up. It will be 1 hop off the wall. 1 run scores, 2 run scores, another double for Carpenter, and it's now a 5-1 game.
You know, when you're running out of gas, that's the time you make your most mistakes. And Homer really hasn't made a lot of mistakes with his fastball today, but that one he throws right down the middle, and Matt Carpenter continues to crush the ball against the Reds.
And that'll be the last pitch that Bailey delivers. So he exits after 5 2/3, trailing 5-1. Here comes Manny Parra. Time for our Skyline Chili call to the bullpen. You're watching Reds baseball on Fox Sports Ohio. the 6th inning. The final numbers 5 2/3, 9 hits, 5 runs. Did not strike out a batter, and he walked 3. All 5 of the runs are earned. The runner at second is responsibility. Your report card on Homer, Chris.
Well, the report card is in the scoreboard, George. You pitch less than 6 innings, give up 5 runs, but I just think he was run out of gas right there. And pitching against a ball club right now that's rolling pretty well in the St. Louis Cardinals. Always a tough place for the Reds to win. And the good news is Homer Bailey was healthy, and they need him healthy from now to the end of the year.
I mean, the line looks a lot worse than it would have looked if he did come out before that pitch. Instead of 3 runs allowed, it's 5, and the runner out at second is responsibility. Here's Manny, set to deliver to Hayward. Hayward bounced into a double play, hit his first Cardinal homer to make it 2-0 in the 3rd, and fly to left in the 5th. Hayward 3 for 7 against Manny Parra in their matchups. Peter Borges on deck with 2 away here in the 6th. With the runner on second, Pena and Parra make sure that they're on the same page. Here's the 1-0 from the Reds left-hander. That's a strike.
Hey, George, we're celebrating the birthday of Anthony DeSclafani today. It is also the birthday of former Red and Red broadcaster Doug Flynn.
All right.
Hope he caught a big one today, Dougie. I'm sure he did. If he didn't, I'm sure he will.
Doug will be joining Jeff Pecoro for Reds Live Weekly coming Wednesday night. Bounce back to Manny. Parra has it. They'll get the out, and that'll do it. But the damage done. Back-to-back singles to start the inning. And a double by Carpenter. 5-1 St. Louis. First here at Busch Stadium in St. Louis, Homer Bailey's first start of the year. Bailey goes 5 2/3, 9 hits, 5 earned runs. Jason Hayward, a day of first for him. His first homer as a Cardinal, his first curtain call. Carlos Martinez comes back too with a second time against the Reds. 6 innings, 3 hits, 1 run. Outstanding. And a day of first for Zach Cozart, his first homer of the year. Cozart's homer gets the Reds on the board, but they trail it now by a score of 5-1. That's our Honda game summary. New pitcher for the Cardinals, Seth Maness. Tall, lanky right-hander goes to work. Reds have seen a lot of him in the last couple of years.
Yeah, he's a sinker ball specialist. Keeps the ball down, gets a lot of ground balls. 26-year-old right-hander from Pinehurst, North Carolina.
Line drive shot to right. That's a bullet for Bird. Marlon Bird gets his first hit. He lined to right last time up. Popped up his first time up, and if you talk to Marlon, he said it all through his career. When he gets right, it's when he starts to hit the ball to right field. And he's hit 2 balls solidly to right so far today. Because everybody has ways to get back in a groove. You mentioned from a pitching mechanic standpoint, as a hitter, Marlon's trying to go to right and get into his groove. Well, the Reds have the leadoff hitter on in the 7th against Maness, and here's Pena. 1 for 2, a base hit to left. Hit hard. Flag down by Cosma. 4-6-3. The Reds base runner away. Our Kia in the driver's seat number for the day. Zach Cozart against the Cardinals. In addition to this homer today, his first of the year. 471, 8 for 17. And you add it all up, he's over 300 for the year. 333 overall, a homer and 2 runs knocked in. By the way, Chris, you mentioned Doug Flynn's birthday. All of us at Fox Sports Ohio and the Reds would like to send out a special happy birthday wish to B. Wilkins, who celebrated her 87th birthday on Wednesday, and earlier this year attended her 57th straight opening day. 57 opening day. Now that's a Reds fan.
Wow. Well, happy birthday, B.
I wonder if she was a Rosie Red too. By the way, congratulations on the Rosie Reds celebrating this past year, anniversary number 50. Outstanding organization that has brought such great glory to the Reds. Base hit for Cozart. He continues his hot hitting with 2 away. And here comes Skip Schumacher, and what a great testament to him. This is the first time he's been back in a Reds uniform, and look at the ovation that Skip's getting.
You know, almost a standing ovation here, which is very impressive. I thought it was a very classy thing that Yadier Molina just did, because when he was announced, there was a large cheer, and rather than have Schumacher get in the batter's box while people were cheering, he stood out in front of home plate to kind of delay action right there.
Talk about the fiber of a ball club. Skip Schumacher represents that wherever he's been. Here with the Cardinals, then he went on to the Dodgers, and nice to see him healthy again, Chris.
Yeah, it was a bad spill he had last year when he dislocated his shoulder. It never got right all year long.
Now, we say it so often, the 2 best baseball towns in America, Cincinnati and St. Louis. They honor the game by celebrating players that are good teammates and good players. Schumacher's on that list. Now the Reds get an inning where they get 2 base hits, but nothing to show for it in the 7th. Schumacher gets an ovation, but the Reds need some runs. They trail 5-1 going to the bottom of 7th. returns with an AL East showdown as the Yankees square off against the Rays. Coverage begins at 7 p.m. Eastern on America's Home for Baseball every Saturday. Fox Sports 1 streaming live on Fox Sports Go. By the way, did you see Mike Trout? Now the youngest to get to 100 homers and 100 stolen bases. Nobody got there quicker than Alex Rodriguez, and Trout bested him with his home run last night. Best player, best talent in baseball now, Mike Trout?
I don't think there's any doubt about it.
There's Peter Borges in the 7th. Kevin Gregg takes over. Bailey went 5 2/3. Manny Parra got the final out of the 6th, and here's Kevin Gregg. Hit hard down to second, but Phillips has it. Borges is retired. 4-3. Chris, what is it? Mechanics? Is it getting behind in the count? What's the story for Gregg and his struggles so far?
Well, it's location. I mean, he's got a fastball that is still in the low 90s, but he's always been about being able to spotting it up where you need it. It doesn't have a lot of life, and you've got to be able to essentially put that ball on a dime in order to get big league hitters out.
Adams gets under this. Guy down the right field line. It'll be in the seats.
You know, he was one of 4 non-roster players to make the Reds out of spring training. So this was an interesting camp from the standpoint of, you know, guys competing for spots. I mean, I don't know if there was another ball club out there that had as many spots open as did the Reds this year. And he threw the ball very well in spring training.
Nice play by Cozart. Adams bidding for his 3rd hit of the day. Only the shift beat him this time, and that's the first time the Reds shifted against him. The other 2 base hits he had came through the right side without the shift.
And then you're really wondering if maybe Kevin Gregg is just holding the spot warm for one of the youngsters that's down in the minor leagues. I mean, they have 2 terrific players, that pitchers down there, and we've seen both of them a lot in spring training. We saw Raisel Iglesias in a major league start last Sunday. He's back down in Louisville. He's pitched 1 time, pitched very well. Michael Lorenzen has pitched outstanding during his couple of starts down there, and it's just a matter of time until I think the Reds realize that we'd rather have those quality innings pitched up here at the major league level rather than down in the minor leagues, because both of those guys, you have to watch their innings as far as totals over the whole year.
Here's Peralta, 9-game hitting streak on the line, 0 for 3, 3 ground balls. And I mean, obviously, the Reds in the future, as you look ahead, want Lorenzen and want Iglesias to be starting pitchers. But the need on this club right now is to find a way to stop the bleeding in the bullpen, which ranks last in the National League. Are those 2 guys the answers? I think this 10-game road trip may decide the course of action for Walt Jocarty and the Reds. Popped up 1-2-3 for Kevin Gregg. Reds going to work in the 8th.
Union of the 1990 World Championship Cincinnati Reds. See your Reds take on the Cubs in 90s throwback jerseys. Plus 30 of the 1990 World Series champs will be honored post-game on the field before the fireworks show. Thanks to Frisch's Big Boy. For tickets, call 513-381-REDS or visit reds.com/tickets. I'm Jim Day. During the opening homestand, we told you don't be surprised if Pete Rose is hired by Fox Sports to be an analyst. Well, I can tell you today that is official. Pete Rose will be doing some studio work on Fox Sports 1. He has applied for reinstatement to baseball. I talked to Pete in spring training, and he was asking a lot of people whether or not he should do this, make this step. And to a man, he said everyone was saying, Pete, this is a good idea to get your name back out there, to get in good graces with baseball. And he will do some studio work on Fox Sports 1. So congratulations, Pete.
And congratulations, Billy Hamilton. For the first time in 2 games, he beats out an infield hit.
Yeah, but did he hurt
and
himself
is he okay?
down there?
He's seems to be holding his groin area, and they're taking some time. Take another look. Long stretch at this last step.
Actually, he stretched to jump over the first baseman after he hit the bag. Man, Brian Price and Steve Bauman, the trainer, is going to come out and talk to him.
Boy. Yeah, it's Billy hardly shows anything when he tweaks anything, but you could clearly see here he's holding his midsection area. Take another look.
Pretty nice play by Cosma. I mean, he makes it close right there.
And the leap, it's almost like he's going over a hurdle and then hits the ground with that right leg, which would tell you, I mean, just speculating, that it would be in the abdominal or groin area where he may have stretched something. And Mike Matheny has come out to challenge the play as well, that the throw beat him to first. He's trying to convince himself that he could stay in, but Steve Bauman and Brian Price are probably saying, let's not take a chance. And that's exactly what's happening. Take another look. Now look, he hits the ground right there, and that appears the stress and the long stretch of the legs, and then hitting the ground with his right foot. That's where the jolt comes. Now, the Reds certainly don't need the speedy center fielder out of the lineup, Chris.
Well, they don't, and you just hope by maybe getting him out there now, getting some medical care to him, he'll be able to get back sooner, and they figure out that it's not anything serious.
No off day this week. The Reds go to Milwaukee on Monday.
You are spot on about Billy Hamilton, though. I mean, he doesn't show. If he's hurting, he never shows you. But they're taking another look at it. You know, a little better throw by Cosmo would have had him, but Adams had to go towards right field. I mean, he's really stretching right down the line.
And it looks like at the least it's a tie.
Well, you know what they say, George, the slow motion cameras are no such thing as ties anymore.
Yeah, safe. So credit Billy Hamilton with the infield hit. He exits. The call stands on the field, safe at first.
You get all that legal jargon down about call stands, overturn. I mean, you going home to take the bar exam?
No, thank you. You just point me in the right direction. 2 minutes and 24 seconds of review time, and the Reds get a base runner. Let's see if they can turn that into something valuable. Christopher Negron will pinch run for him and stay in the game to play center field. Here's Joey. Votto walked twice and fly to right. And by the way, to get back, unfortunately, we didn't get a chance to talk a little more about Jim Day's comment about Pete. And Chris, I told Pete years ago when he was still playing that someday Now, you'll be the John Madden of baseball. I mean, he could be the most entertaining baseball analyst ever. He knows the game. He's got great stories. He's got a great sense of humor, and he still watches the game. I mean, how many people? I mean, people retire from the game and then that's it. You know, they'll watch a game every once in a while. He watches every day. He watches every game, and he will be a big time success and a big hit on television.
There is no doubt about that.
Molina keeps it in front.
I've always thought that while Pete Rose has been banished from baseball, that Major League Baseball had missed a golden opportunity to have him involved in the game on kind of a community service basis, to serve his sentence that way, so to say, and have him go around and speak to young ball players and speak to college and high school teams and youth groups and so on. And because he delivers a message that is just unparalleled if you ever hear him speak in public. And it's just terrific.
Down to first. What a snare by Adams, and he'll tap the bag for an out. That's all they'll get. He robs Votto of extra bases, and only because he's holding the runner on is he there to make the catch.
Boy, this ball is hit like a shot down the first baseline.
Runner goes to second. Here's Frazier. Todd struck out, single to left, and line to short. A leaping catch by Peralta robbed him of a base hit. Thrown good speed off second. High in the air to right. Measured by Hayward at the warning track. Got it. DeGrom will easily go to third. Reds have started to square up some balls here in the last 2 innings. Trying to find a way onto the board, though. Here's Brandon. Phillips popped up, struck out, fly to right. All those at bats against Carlos Martinez. If you joined us late, Martinez 6 innings, 3 hits, 1 run. Homer Bailey in his first start, 5 2/3, 9 hits, 5 earned runs. He exited after giving up a 2-run double to Matt Carpenter. So in essence, he pitched 5 2/3 of solid 3-run baseball before that hit. To the stretch and thrown off third. Line drive to right. Here comes Hayward. It'll drop in front of him. That'll get a run in. So Brandon delivers with a base hit, and the Reds get their first run since the Zach Cozart homer in the 5th, and it's a 5-2 ball game.
Well, that play by Matt Adams to rob the hit away from Joey Votto is pretty big right now. And that would have meant a couple of runs. It would have been only a 3-run game and only 1 out. But either way, Mike Matheny has seen enough of Seth Maness, and he is going to the bullpen once again.
So while the pitching change takes place, we'll take time out for these messages. You're watching Reds baseball on Fox Sports Ohio. Season 45,906 have seen the Cardinals pile up 5 runs, 9 hits, no errors for the Reds, 2 runs and a rally going here. And for Brandon Phillips, that run batted in was his 69th against the Cardinals, and he's on that list. Most career runs batted in against St. Louis among active players. Aramis Ramirez, now of the Brewers, is at the top of the list with 142. And here's Jay Bruce, who's on the list also with 58. A chance to pick up a couple of more here. He'll face a familiar foe who he's seen over the years, Randy Choate. He's 1 for 12 against Choate, who comes in, the left-handed reliever, to face Jay.
Yeah, you know what you get with Choate? Sidearm slop.
I've heard that description before.
I can say that because I could do that.
That's right. It was effective stuff, though.
You know, it just goes to show you can hang around a long time as a specialty left-hander. You pitch more games than you do innings. But the guys that you come in to face are guys that are normally the best left-handed hitters on the team, because if they weren't the best left-handed hitters, they'd be pinch hit for with a righty.
1 ball, 1 strike to Jay, who bounced out, struck out, bounced out, 0 for 3. Towards the hole and through. Jay Bruce gets the base hit. And once again against the shift. No shift this time, but against the philosophy of the shift as they moved it a little towards the behind the second base bag.
I think just the fact that Jay Bruce hit the ball to left field off a left-hander is important, because the only way you're going to hit left-handed pitching consistently is giving yourself an opportunity to hit that breaking ball the other way. And that was a fastball, but he still was committed to going to left field, something Joey Votto does very well. So that's a nice at-bat by Bruce.
Good job by Jay, and that'll be it for Choate. Back after these messages. You're watching Reds Baseball on Fox Sports Ohio. All their way back into this one. They trail by 3 in a 5-2 ball game. The tying run is coming to the plate. It's Marlon Byrd, who's had 2 good at bats today. He's 1 for 3 with a base hit to right last time up, and he's going to face the youngster Jordan Walden. Chris.
Now Jordan Walden's got a tremendous arm. The Cardinals got him from the Braves in the same deal that brought Jason Hayward this way. And he's been a very good pitcher here in this spot in the ball game, in the 8th inning bridge, to try to get to their closer. An unusual delivery. We've talked about it before when we've seen Walden. He is actually in midair when the ball comes out of his hand.
Almost like a javelin thrower. Here's Byrd. Marlin first time up, popped to the first baseman.
That's a tough first pitch right there.
Second time up, he lined to right, and third time up, he singled to right. All those 3 at bats on only 5 pitches. So after striking out 3 times last night and going deep in the count, he's been attacking strikes early. 2 away. 2 out there for the Reds. Oh, and 2. Towards the hole. Peralta gets the force at second, and that'll end the Reds' threat. Well, the Reds get a run on a base hit by Brandon Phillips, but still trail 5-2. Who's going to surprise you? And here are some surprise starts in the National League thus far. On the positive side, the Mets, first 6-game winning streak since April of 2011. And Chris, this past week I was there in New York. Matt Harvey's start, I mean, it's like Tom Seaver and Doc Gooden. There's electricity in that ballpark. Harvey is back. The Mets are 8-3. The Brewers, on the other hand, 2-8, last in the National League Central, having trouble scoring runs. You'll go there this week, and Carlos Gomez on the disabled list. That takes a big chunk of their offense. And the Giants, losing Hunter Pence early, that's their emotional leader. They are 3-9 overall. So some good news and some bad news early.
Now, it's still early, and that's the biggest thing. You're playing 162 games, and you're only 10 or 11 games in right now. So you warn against small sample size in individual performances and in team performances.
Here's Jumbo Diaz, who will take over as we go to the bottom of 8. Yadi Molina will lead it off. Homer Bailey, 5 2/3, 9 hits, 5 runs. Manny Parra, Greg, and now Diaz. On the corner for a strike. Christopher Negron stays in center field. And be with us for Reds Live post game. Get an update on Billy Hamilton after leaving the game. What appeared to be either a strained abdominal muscle or groin area injury after beating out an infield base hit. Molina bounced to second, doubled the 250th of his career to knock in a run in the 4th, and then singled to left. Down to third, but foul. So far, a taste of the good and a taste of the bad for Jumbo early in this season. For Diaz, picked up his first major league win in that open day victory over the Pirates. But he's succumbed to 8th inning difficulties since then.
Well, the Reds are looking for somebody to step up and take over that 8th inning. And Jumbo is a guy that has all the opportunity and talent out there to do it. But the bottom line is you got to do it. He gave up a two-run home run the other day on an 0-2 pitch in Chicago. And because he throws so hard and he gets a strikeout right here, we will make that pitch our flamethrower, brought to you by Cholula Hot Sauce. Jumbo dialing it up at 95.
So he gets Molina, and here's Jay. Bounce to second, bounce to short, and single to left. He joined us late. Cardinals in the first. Double by Holiday and a single by Adams. 1-0 St. Louis. Matt Holliday left the game with tightness in his back. That 1-0 lead became 2-0 as Jason Hayward hit his first homer as a Cardinal in the third. Then in the fourth, the single by Adams started a rally that ended with Molina's double, 250th of his career, to make it 3-0. And then Carpenter against Homer Bailey in the sixth with 2 outs. Double with 2 on to make it 5-1. The Reds runs. The Zach Cozart homer in the fifth, his first of the year, to give the Reds their first run. And a base hit by Brandon Phillips in the eighth. And it's a 5-2 game. Balls, 2 strikes. I was watching television early this morning. Of course, spring practice underway at Ohio State. Urban Meyer now with his brand new contract got a whole lot of things to decide on, namely his quarterback situation.
Yeah.
Benefit of riches. But he had a great comment. You know, he was asked by reporters, you know, how do you defend? And he said basically we don't defend. What we have to do, we have 10 different elements to our football team. Every element has to be under control of their element, meaning the offensive line, the defensive line, the quarterbacks. It's the same thing in baseball. I mean, you are a team, yes, but how do you straighten out your bullpen situation? That has a lot to do with how a team comes together as the year progresses. And if you look at the Reds right now, I mean, they've struggled offensively at times, yes, but this is the biggest key for them. How do you straighten out the bullpen? Bobbled by Phillips, and he'll pick up his second error in 2 games.
Yeah, it looks like he gets in front of it. Just takes a little hop that goes up and off his shirt. Well, you say it every time he misplays the ball. I can't remember the last time I saw that by Brandon Phillips, but in this case it was yesterday. Although that was a very difficult play that he got tagged with an error for yesterday.
Yeah, I was surprised at that one. Yeah, that's clearly an error, but I was surprised at yesterday's. So Jay is on, and here's Cosma. Line to center, intentionally walked, and bounce back to the pitcher.
You know, George, I think the discussion about the bullpen is one that it's not only the bullpen. I think there's a lot of things going on here with this ball club right now, and one is to kind of get some life into them. And it always looks like when you're not hitting that you're not trying.
Yep.
I mean, these guys are trying, but there just doesn't seem to be a lot of offensive flow going on. Oh, my.
And Brian Price may challenge this one. He's on the steps of the dugout, waiting for a word from Rob Coughlin inside as to whether or not he'll challenge it. Take a look. They get 1 at second, on to first. I think similar to Hamilton's. Looks like at the very least a tie. Now, let's see. He steps back, and here comes Brian. Yes, he will challenge. it'll be a challenge here in the bottom of the 8th inning. It would put Cosma on first, or it could be the second out of the inning.
I will try to give you the same look that they will be looking at in New York. Well, that is awfully close. You almost have to roll that back and look frame by frame. I ring him up on that. It may take them a while in New York to figure that one out. So meanwhile, what do the fans do? I've always wondered, George, if there's not something that Major League Baseball can do during these challenges to entertain the fans. I mean, other than discount beer by 50%.
Except now the beer lines are closed now. It's late in the game.
Wouldn't that be a good idea, though? I mean, if you're in the line and you're waiting, you know, and all of a sudden you hear that there's a challenge going on and the prices go up by 50% during the time at which they're evaluating the call.
See, now when we go back home, we got to sit you down with Phil Castellini, and
Phil doesn't need any help. He's got plenty of ideas.
Or you could do it on the big screen. You make the call. So here in St. Louis, where do you think that call would go? You make the call. So will Cosma be on first, or will it be the second out of the inning?
Well, now, Mike Matheny's out talking to the home plate umpire, Manny Gonzalez. And I don't know whether that's just a social get-together down there or whether they're actually discussing something pertaining to baseball.
We wondered last night why Matheny came out to talk to home plate umpire Clint Fagan, and as we found out after the game, Fagan said it wasn't about anything other than he wondered, could he challenge possible obstruction at first base by Votto when he went to his knee to catch that ball in the dirt. And Fagan said you can challenge that play, but there was, you know, he told him what he saw from home plate, and so Matheny went back to the dugout. And how about Matheny? He got his own little book. You know, you and I have talked to him a lot over the years. The Matheny Manifesto.
Is that what he's got a name of it?
And what he talks about, and I remember having a discussion with him maybe 10 years ago. It starts off, I always thought the only baseball team I would manage would be a team of orphans. Because, he said, and this was about, it's about youth baseball. It's about how to be a good parent, how to be a good youth coach. He said because the most difficult thing about managing a youth baseball team is dealing with parents. And Chris, you've talked about this as you do your clinic so often.
It's the first and most important meeting you have all year is the first one with the parents, where you make it clear who the coach is and who the parents are. And you make a line like that. But I did not know that he had a book. I know that he's got several kids that are playing sports. His daughter is a terrific hockey player at Michigan, I believe, or is it at Ohio State. He has a son that is playing baseball, I want to say, at Southeast Missouri State. And he's got another one who is in high school who is committed now to Oklahoma State. He's a pitcher. In fact, Matt Matheny was a pitcher that spent the last couple of summers playing from the Midland Redskins.
A lengthy one, but the call on the field safe at first. Call stands. So Cosma will be safe at first. Very similar to the replay that you saw with Billy Hamilton. Now, Mike, of course, went to Michigan himself, and
even though he was raised really right outside of Columbus in Reynoldsburg, Ohio, he was never recruited by Ohio State.
Nope.
He was a second or third best catcher in the area, so he was recruited by Michigan, and of course he's had a very good career as a major league catcher before now becoming a manager.
So they get one out at second, but Cosma's safe at first. Diaz to the stretch. In fact, he credits, I mean, he's always credited Bill Freehan, his coach at Michigan, with a guy who really instilled upon him a lot of the philosophies that made him a successful major leaguer. And of course, Dave Ricketts, the former catching coach here, was another. And you know, you and I have talked often about this. Bill Freehan impressed upon him to learn Spanish. He said, I know you're going to be a major leaguer. So he made him take 3 years of Spanish at Michigan because it's going to help you in the major leagues. And certainly that helps him today as a manager. Remember,
3 years of college Spanish and a couple of years in winter ball, and you've
Sure.
got it done.
I mean, how great was it when young players came into the Reds clubhouse and the star of the team and the captain, Barry Larkin, approached them and started to speak to them in their native tongue. Made them feel at home. Here's a rocket shot into center. That's a base hit. Well, Colton Wong, pinch hitting in the ninth spot, delivers a base hit. And there's 2 on with 2 out. So a strikeout, an error by Phillips. A force out at second, allowing Cosma to reach, and now the base hit by Colton Wong, and you got 2 on with 2 out. And here comes Carpenter. 2 more hits for Matt today, a single and a double. The double was the last batter that Homer Bailey faced in the 6th, knocked in 2 to make it a 5-1 ball game. Missing on the outside corner for ball 1. Looking ahead at the 9th for the Reds. Pena, Cozart, bottom of the order due up. That's a strike. Eight straight series the Cardinals have beaten the Reds. The difficulties against St. Louis and the difficulties here in St. Louis continuing. Reds hoping for a 9th inning rally if they can snuff things out here. That's strike 2.
Carpenter's the kind of hitter that you feel like when you're ahead of him 1 and 2, he's got you right where he wants you.
Trying to slice that one the other way, stays alive, fouling it off. No action in the Reds bullpen with Carpenter at the plate and the left-handed swinging Hayward on deck. Jumbo and a jumbo jam here in the 8th. Got him. Jumbo Diaz strands the 2. The Cardinals have stranded 8 on the day. Last roundup for the Reds. Can they rally in the 9th? On Fox Sports Ohio has been brought to you by your local Toyota dealers, proud sponsor of the Cincinnati Reds. And play daily fantasy baseball for free on DraftKings.com, the official daily fantasy partner of Major League Baseball. Enter promo code PLAYNOW. Sun finally is peaked out here at Busch Stadium in St. Louis. Threats of rain earlier, and they still say it may rain tonight. But the Reds trying to rain on the Cardinal parade need a rally here in the 9th inning. 5 runs, 10 hits for the Redbirds. 2 runs, 8 hits, 7 left on base for Cincinnati. And here's the closer coming in to try to wrap it up.
Well, it lays about as easy as it can possibly be for a closer to come in with a 3-run lead, have a save opportunity, and face the bottom 3 in the batting order. Pena, Cozart, and probably a pinch hitter.
Here's Pena, singled, thrown out, and bounced into a double play.
Rosenthal has been in 4 games and picked up 3 saves. Pitched twice against the Reds during the Cardinals trip through Cincinnati.
Pena 1 for 3 against Rosenthal in their matchups. Cozart, who will follow, is 1 for 7. Big swing.
Yeah, the question you have about Trevor Rosenthal is his control overall. He walks a lot of batters. He throws very hard. I mean, not as hard as Aroldis Chapman. He's in his own universe there. But he throws upper 90s.
Looped into left. Jay is there, and there's 1 away.
What I noticed about Rosenthal when he was pitching in Cincinnati, and this year when the Cardinals came through, is that he had a really difficult time trying to get that changeup working. It was almost like he was forcing it to try to get in there. He had an unusual motion with it, did not feel comfortable at all. He also has an overhand curveball, which is a pretty good pitch, but he doesn't locate it all that well. But the fastball is his bread and butter. The last one at 97.
Line drive center field. Borges over. It'll drop in front of him, and Zach Cozart continues his hot hitting. 2 singles and a homer today. The homer is first of the year. Biggest bright spot of the Reds in the early going. He and Votto both. Brendan Bosch will come in to pinch hit in the number 9 spot to face Rosenthal. Ironically for Rosenthal, I mean, he's had success save-wise. Most of his struggles, many of his struggles, have come here at home. He has an ERA of over 3, a 3-8 record. And the Reds have dented his armor a couple of times here, trying to do it again. 1 out, 1 on. Here's Brendan Bosch. Looking for his first hit of the young season. And one of the more difficult things, we've talked about the challenges of managing, Chris. One of the more difficult responsibilities is to try to get your bench players at bats. In the National League, a little easier. You can double switch and pinch hit more often than in the American League. And Bosch has been relegated to just pinch hit duties most of the time.
Yeah, it's even more dramatic, I think, early in the year because Brendan Bosch was playing just about every day down in spring training, and all of a sudden you turn the switch off and you don't play at all. So you sit for 10 games. Didn't miss by much, but he missed. So if Bosch gets on, then you have Negron, and of course after that is Joey Votto. Nobody up in the Cardinal bullpen.
3-0. That's a strike.
Well, you're going to get 2 fastballs in a row right here if you're Brendan Bosch, so why not look at another one?
Fouled off, will go full 3-2.
Turn up the dial a little bit.
And he can do that. Bosch was one of those 4 non-roster players you talked about that made the Reds roster. This is his 5th of 7 appearances as a pinch hitter. And there's ball 4. Good at bat for Brendan Bosch. He keeps the line moving. 1 out, 2 on. Doesn't get the call. And back to the top of the order. Here's Christopher Negron for his first at bat. He came in place of Billy Hamilton. If you joined us late, Billy beat out a base hit, an infield hit in the 8th, but as he hurtled over Matt Adams, who was on the ground making a catch, he came down, jarred his right leg, and it appeared he strained something in the abdominal or groin area and left the ball game. Negron came in. So Chris's job is to get Votto to the plate somehow.
And stay out of a double play ball, obviously, and that's the way you get Votto to the plate.
From the stretch, Rosenthal. That's a strike.
Got a break there at the high end of the strike zone with a slider.
Negron facing Rosenthal for the first time. Christopher in at 125, no homers, no runs batted in it yet. Joey in the on deck circle. That's way wide. Dribble to the right side. Adams bobbles, and the throw to first will be in time. They'll get an out. But the runners advance to second and third.
That was a pretty good recovery by Adams, because that was the type of play that can easily get away from you. Once you start double dribbling it out there, I mean, if you panic and start beating the ball around, you never get a handle on it. Rosenthal hung with him, and that has turned out to be a very good play.
Red step.
So it all comes down to this.
Down to their final out, and here's Joey. Votto today walked twice, flied out, and robbed of a hit on a nice play by Adams at first. 2 runners out there for Votto, who's 0 for 3 in his career against Rosenthal. And after Votto comes Frazier. Cozart off third. Bosch off second. Yes, says the third base umpire.
Boy. What they're looking for is a bat head. I don't know about that one.
1 ball, 1 strike. And Molina will go out and talk to his right-handed closer.
You know, I like that Votto is not phased at all by that call that brings him up for a strike. He just looks locked in to me.
He sure is. Now, we were wondering on opening day, remember Joey and John Hirschbeck got into a discussion, and we wondered, was it about stepping out of the box or whatever. And after that game, I asked John Hirschbeck, and he said, you know, Joey has a habit. As the pitch comes in, he'll call ball or strike. And John said to him, Joey, I appreciate your umpiring, but keep it to yourself, would you? So Joey was silent for the rest of his at-bats that day. That's up high. So Votto ahead in the count, 2-1. Flips the corner, 2-2.
Boy, you cannot get it any more on the corner than that. You get that little detail brush and you paint the black right on the edge of the black.
That's a call, strike 3. Votto didn't like that call. He'll just stand in the batter's box looking back at Manny Gonzalez and slowly shaking his head. He didn't think he went around for strike 1. He didn't think strike 2 was a strike. And he certainly didn't think strike 3 was a strike either. Take a look. You judge.
Well, the last pitch, I think, was meant to be outside, but it came inside. And our Fox Tracks has it as right on the edge of the strike zone.
Well, one of those three, Joey was right on at least.
Well, you know, you got to figure out a way to beat this Cardinal ball club, and you can't certainly always have to come down to the last batter in the batter's box.
5 runs, 10 hits, no errors, 8 left for the Cardinals. 2-9-1 with 9 left for the Reds. They will lose another series as Mike Matheny's club stretches its first place record in the Central to 7-3. More to talk about when we return to Busch Stadium after these messages.